season getting closer. How do you feel?
We've had a good preseason. I think overall we a couple exhibition games. I thought able to get a lot out of that. So it's been positive. We kind of had a continuation of last season's dilemma with injuries that we fought quite a bit. So uh, got a lot of experience with that over the last 2 years. So trying to push through that. Got some news on that front. Unfortunately, on Sunday versus Texas A&M, VJ Wallace went up for a dunk, and he dislocated his ankle. So he had surgery yesterday. He's going to miss the season. It was really heartbreaking to see it. It was probably one of the worst ones that I've seen. His prognosis is very good to get better in a couple of months, following the surgery. But just the players were really emotionally beat up just seeing that. It was hard to even finish the game, really. Feel terrible for VJ, but he's a great kid, a hard worker, and he'll get back to where he was prior to the injury. Yesterday at practice, Noah, our guard from Belgium, rolled his ankle, so he's going to be out a few weeks. It's just one of those freak things that happens in practice. So he luckily is not going to need any surgery, and so that was the good silver lining there. But it's been a lot on the injury front, so just been today wasn't not as many live reps. There won't be as many live reps, so we could get to the game in one piece on Tuesday. But the positive side of this is we're getting some guys back from injury. Alan McKeeba looked very good in practice today. He's been out probably 6 weeks. Last week was his first week to go non-live, and this week he's gone live, and he's doing very well. So he's trending to get back, and the same thing goes for Marcus Adams. They were both on a very similar timeline to get back with lower leg injuries. I think I've covered everything with that. Masamba Diop, we didn't have him play in the exhibition. He probably could have, but he rolled his ankle in our Irvine exhibition, so we were very careful with him, just making sure he's 100%, and he's been in practice all week as well. So getting some guys back. We lost a couple of guys, so that's really the biggest news right now, I would imagine, in the program is just what's been happening with our guys physically.
So is it just the two guys that you're not expecting to be available for Tuesday?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of time between now and then, but everybody else was active and available in practice. There's potential to be a bit of a minute restriction for both Allen and Marcus as they are closer and are able to play in the game. They don't have the foundation that some of the other guys that have been working consistently throughout the preseason. So I'll try and get a handle on that with our medical to see what that looks like.
Coach, what's the biggest area of improvement that you've seen with this team in this offseason coming off of last year?
I mean, last year's group, I enjoyed coaching them. They had a very high upside. We never reached it. This team, I don't know if the upside is as high, but like the coachability, the attitude, how they conduct themselves every day. They've been very push button to work with and very enjoyable to coach. They, I think, genuinely like each other. I thought we did some nice things, against A&M. A&M's a different style. If I don't know if anybody watched the game or not, but their coach was at Samford, and they before going to Texas A&M, and they pressed the whole game and they trapped, and I thought, we handled it well. The guards did. We took care of the ball. We didn't turn it over. Got some guys that could shoot the ball, and we have an interior presence. We got multiple players that I think we could throw the ball to in the post. So I think we got, a pretty good mix.
Lots of new guys on this team coming from different places.
Yeah.
Mo Odom, one of those new guys. We saw him at quarterback there. He's been very vocal with his guys. What has his leadership kind of been like?
He's older. He's played a lot of games. He's got a lot of confidence. Plays with that confidence. He's a point guard. He's a true point guard. He's a leader. Plays to win. I think his teammates really enjoy playing with him because of his feel for the game and his ability to find the open man. And that's why he was fourth in the country in assists. He's been fantastic. Since day one. Hasn't missed a day. he's just a playmaker. He makes plays, and the guys enjoy playing with him.
How have you seen these guys working together with so many new parts?
I thought, if you have unselfishness or, someone just wants the ball, but be ball dominant, it may not work with so many new guys. I think they're organically, kind of naturally moving the ball, sharing the ball, playing together. I liked our fight. These guys really compete. We were down multiple guys. I thought coming into the season, maybe 3 starters, for Texas A&M, and to, be winning most of that exhibition game and seeing how hard they fought and competed was very impressive to me.
You obviously went overseas a bit for the roster building this offseason. What traits were you looking for as you went down that path?
Older guys, experienced players, guys that played, at a good level in Europe, that played against really good competition. It's underrated how well coached some of those guys could be when they get to you. Like they haven't disappointed in that regard at all. Like, Masamba Diop has had 2 years in Spain where he's really, he can be pretty special, stuff he could do. You don't have to teach him a lot. He intuitively knows to do certain things. And, same thing with AG, Andrea, Noah. All these guys have really, been very good at picking things up, and their coachability is very high.
Specifically with the difference between European basketball and American basketball, what are you finding with things you're able to do maybe different than usual?
They know how to play, don't make any stupid plays very often, kind of make the right play. These guys, know how to move the ball. They can make shots. I think we got our front court could really shoot the ball. There isn't a guy on the front court that I might not allow to shoot a 3 this year because they've all kind of proven in practice that they could do that. So usually you're getting a guy that's been, like I said, well coached, that's skilled, that kind of knows how to play.
Do you feel too that with the international players, coaching, a lot of times I know for to talk about people like the Olympics, like is a little more just in general physical. Some of the fouls aren't called. Is that like a big adjustment for them too?
I think the biggest adjustment is just pace of play. Just the American game is faster, so they're trying to get acclimated to that. And Noah in particular talked a lot about that. Like the European game is a little more half-court oriented, and now all of a sudden Noah is playing against Texas A&M that's trying to play 1,000 miles an hour. So it's like that's where the adjustment is, so that the game slows down for you enough. And they're starting, I think, pick up things better and get used to that in that regard.
2-part question here. Part 1, was there intention in your non-conference scheduling this year to prepare you guys for Big 12 play better? And second part, what's your current assessment of the way the Big 12 is shaking out this season?
Yeah, I like what we did. We scrimmaged UC Irvine. I've been doing that for a few years. They're one of the better mid-major programs on the West Coast, and they really are disciplined. They run half-court offense, so they're going to force you to guard different actions, and they're going to play physical. It was a slower pace game. This game versus Texas A&M, entirely different. So we got a taste of 2 different styles of play. So I thought it was positive. I get to change lineups and look at different combinations in both of those games. As far as the Big 12, I mean, it's goes without saying what it is. It's a beast. It's it's a gauntlet, whatever the word you want to use. I mean, it's a loaded conference. You got some high-profile freshmen in the league. You got first-team All-Americans that are older. I mean, it's top to bottom. It's fantastic. Really high hopes for a great season.
Talk about the conference being the first Big 12 preseason meeting you guys were picked to finish last. I feel like you guys carried that as kind of like a chip on your shoulder going into the season.
I mean, I mentioned to the guys once, just kind of like file it away. It wasn't you guys. You guys didn't vote on it. It was the coaches. I think it's hard to judge, though. My team is a little bit mysterious, maybe, just in terms of not having a lot of film on some of these guys that we have, particularly from overseas. And then we went with mid-major guys that were very productive, that are transferring up. So, we'll see how all that translates. But I don't feel like we're a team that is at, the bottom of any league. But it is, a really, a brutal league. It is a very good league, and I guess they had to pick somebody last.
What does a creator like Mo for the offense?
I think Mo just like, he could play great in ball screen. He could escape bad places that he gets himself in. He's just got like this unique ability off the dribble to just be shifty and draw the defense. And he could rifle a pass to a 3-point shooter. He could throw a lob, and he could score it enough that you have to honor that as well. And then he plays to win. Like, every segment that we have that's live, man, he's as competitive as I'd want a guy at that position, to be, because everything he's trying to do is about winning.
Does he remind you of yourself?
Not so much, because maybe with his instincts and knowing where guys are to pass, he's got a lot of handle, a lot of game off the bounce. He reminded me a little bit of Trey Holder, but just like Trey was a better scorer and he's a better passer, but the same ability just to get in the paint, kind of whenever they want.
Coach, what do you hope the identity of this team is the first couple of weeks of the season? What are you trying to at least set down? You mentioned just not having a lot of film across the country to look at. What do you hope the identity of this team is?
I just hope we compete and scrap like we did, on Sunday versus Texas A&M, and I think that this team has the potential to get better as the weeks progress, based on getting guys late to campus from overseas in September, and usually we would have guys in the summer, and a couple of guys lost the entire summer, having guys out with injuries, not being able. I could see us being way better, in December or January than we are in November. But along the way, we just gotta, keep battling and keep showing up and keep guarding and keep, playing unselfishly. And a lot of things we did versus Texas A&M, I thought, a guy like Anthony Pig Johnson should be like what our identity is, like blue collar guy. Like, he was an NAIA player last year, and he had 27 points on Sunday. So against Texas A&M, a power conference. So, there's basketball players everywhere that, we were able to really find a guy like him that just plays with a lot of passion and can really run and has got a motor. And, he was impressive on Sunday. So I'm happy for a kid like that. That's a great story. I think we have to try and be a good story this year. I'm, tired of sitting in front of you complaining about injuries and why we maybe underachieved or didn't do as well as we wanted to. I'm hoping we get a different outcome this year.
Coach, talk about Ty, Eli, your support staff this year. What have you seen from them over the offseason, and how have they kind of adjusted and gotten into this season?
I like our staff. I think we get along very well. I think that's number one, and very cohesive. I think each guy brings something a little bit different. Different past experiences, different ideas. I got two ties, so I'm not sure which tie you're talking about. I got old Ty and new Ty. Old Ty is actually younger than new Ty, though. Yeah. So Ty Larson is he's been great with me this last year and change, and he's done a very good job. He was with Chris Beard, and so brings a lot of different ideas from that. And Ty Edmondson has been great locally here. I hired Nate Oates a long time ago at Buffalo, at a high school coach. So I've been able to do that. Nick Irvin's a former high school coach. So kind of think about that. You can, find guys from anywhere that know how to coach the game of basketball. So, like my staff overall. Yeah.
The way that the roles changed and the ability to go get different types of guys playing overseas, how many players or potential players did you evaluate? What was that process like, trying to figure out who to bring in?
Yeah, it was just a lot of synergy, a lot of film study, a lot of our coaches talking with agents. It's more, I've spoke to more agents than I ever have in the past, the last 2 years, especially this year. Overseas, we saw that, and that's just my opinion. And the international guys cost money too. It's not like you get them for free, but like they were, in my opinion, less expensive relative to American players this year. I think they figured out the system and they maxed it out. They were going to max it. So I think that's the reason for the shift and deciding to do that. And then knowing that like we were getting a guy like Masamba that is playing already at a league that is arguably better than like the Big 12, and he's been productive. So you're trying to, find out who those guys are and see if we could get involved and get them. It's no different than recruiting out of the portal in America that way or high school players.
Did you enjoy that at all? Just the different aspect of the challenge?
I mean, it was interesting doing it. I've never kind of gone in that direction, so I want to see where it takes me. I've had a sprinkle of international guys in the past, but never the volume that we have this year. So I'm excited to see if it works out. So far, I feel like we made some good decisions with some of those guys. I think they have a chance to be very, impactful on what we do this year.
Does it almost make more work for you because now it's not just high school guys and portal guys? Now you got to spend more time evaluating European guys too.
I think it's actually more fun because it's like it's easy to see the guy that everybody could see, but like, could you find someone that isn't on everybody's radar and everybody's targeting? Like, that's why like Anthony Johnson was, and I'll give everybody credit, but I mean, Bobby brought him to me, my son. Like, he found him on one of these recruiting sites that we're looking at, and then I watched film of him, and we got involved and we're right in the lead right away, and he had some high mids on him, but he liked it here and wanted to be a part of it. So it's like you could just dive into all this stuff and go and try and locate these guys that are out there.
Coach, what's it been like to have Bobby not come onto your staff after playing?
It's been like unbelievable, really, for me. He works really hard. He's great with understanding me and knowing how I tick and being helpful and great ideas. He really dove into the portal. He was very involved in our meetings, very involved in evaluating players that we went on. So he's had a real impact, and it's great because like I'm old and I got some older coaches, and they can still relate to the guys. But having someone that just went through what a season looks like with me, he could really have these conversations with the players and really connect with them, in a way that I can't at this stage.
Coach, Trevor was obviously on your team last year. How impactful has he been to a lot of the new transfers and just getting acclimated into your system?
He's still learning. I think I tried to say this a lot last year. Like, he got to us in late December, January. He didn't have a lot of reps under his belt in the summer and the preseason, and so he's really like a freshman. Like, he's a freshman and a half, I guess. Like, he's still like figuring out how to play, what things he can and can't get away with, and so it's going to be interesting. I think and this is not only for him but for all the guards. Like, we got guys we can throw the ball into, so like we have to transition our thought process from hey, let's put our head down and drive, to let's get these guys touches. Like today in practice, getting the ball to Masamba and Allen and Marcus Adams and these guys, even Santiago has been really like a pleasant surprise relative to his point production, his stats last year. I think Bryce Ford's another guy that's been really good for us, relative to his stats at Toledo. So, but getting back to we got TB and the rest of the guards got to really focus on getting those guys touches inside.
So will it take a while to figure out roles and starting stuff with the injuries and how everybody's ill? What will that be like?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me this week. I'm having two new guys, really three, Masamba, Allen, Marcus, and now I'm trying to move them around into different positions, and what do they know at this position on offense right now. And so I'm playing that game with them, trying to fast track them learning everything. So it's still like a big work in progress to see what it all ultimately will look like. But in the meantime, the vision is, Mo Odom's gonna have the ball a lot, making a lot of decisions for us, and I think we got a good number of guys that could get some things done around the basket, and we got some guys that can make shots. So that's kind of what I'm seeing so far.
Was this shirt a coincidence that
No, it's like my wife made me clean out my closet like a few days ago, and I had like 1,000 like ASU long sleeves, and they were all just like I couldn't find the shirt. I wore it like once last year, and I found it, and so no, there's no like subliminal messaging here or anything. Yeah. Hey, I don't know if you know who this is Phil Beckner too. That's his deal. And Phil is a friend of mine. He's a great coach. He's trains a lot of NBA players. He's in the area here. He was actually at practice today. How about that coincidence? I wore the shirt one time last year. I wore it today, and Phil was here today. It's crazy. A lot of crazy things have been happening here.
James Harden spent some time with you guys a couple weeks back. What impact did he have to you guys?
He was great. I mean, he spent like a week with us, and he was in our practices, and he commented to Greg Howell, who his good friend that's on staff, and how much that helped him start to get ready conditioning wise for the NBA season. But you don't know how many times he would stop and talk to one of the younger players and point something out to them, or just them being able to see him the way he passes. Like I think one day he didn't even take a shot, and he like dominated practice. He was just his passing is and he sees things so well out there, and just his communication too. Just a lot of guys don't want to talk the way they need to talk, and to have James do that, throughout consistently through a workout is again, really impactful for these younger guys that are trying to learn.
Having someone like Harden with the team is going to eventually be a drive, maybe more American players to want to come over and join ASU?
I mean, James is always the face of Arizona State basketball. Really, at Weather Up. I mean, you can't get a bigger poster, on the wall than he's got. We are talking about him constantly in recruiting, particularly with guys at his position. I wasn't fortunate enough to coach James, but been lucky enough to get to know him and be around him and have him in workouts, and he's been outstanding. But he'll always help that way, just people knowing, recruits knowing that he was such a great player here.
There's been a lot of discussion from coaches across the country about G League players now playing in college basketball, which is kind of something that's come with all these rule changes. I was curious if as part of your process in this offseason, if that's something that's just new, if you had any thoughts on that situation?
Yeah, I mean, that one just came from left field. We weren't aware that was even legal. So maybe that's on us to have known that and maybe pursued some of these guys. But I can understand the frustration of some coaches with that, because it wasn't really made clear to us that was even a possibility. And a couple of programs, really benefited from it. So, good for them. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.